Hello, everybody. This is Kama with the online talk show. Actually, I renamed it. This show we are doing Real Talk with Kama, and today we are talking about one of my favorite subjects, which is relationships. There's a lot of different views on relationships, on men roles, women roles, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. So today I want to hash it out. Right now, I have all my fellas on there. I don't know what happened to my ladies, but I want to welcome to my show. Dijon Jernigan, Joey Delia, Eric Smith, and Moses Rogers. Thank you guys for being on my show. So this is going to be the first question. It's going to start off actually because Moses actually posed this question, and I want us to talk about it a little bit. This was the question. What is the difference between, or is it okay for a man not to work if he's going into ministry to pastor, or if he's rapping, but then he has his wife at home holding down the fort while he's going after whatever his calling is? So I want to get your take on that, Minister John.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. I think when you talk about anytime you talk about somebody not working, not working, going after their dream or what have you, it may be. I think you're dealing with a very touchy situation. When you talk about it from a ministerial standpoint, I think I have to only deal with it from the fact of the way that I've been taught. I don't think any man should not do something to contribute to his household. You should do something. When you say should he work, should he be working something that's going to take him away? I think the question really should be, does this woman know this was this person's dream before we got married? Do you know this person? So I would have to say, nah, you got to be doing something, brother, and working towards that. Now, is there going to come a time, like I say, in ministry, that man's going to have to say, you know what, I got to do full-time ministry. I got to do it. I got to be there. My congregation and what's happening in my life will tell me when it's time for me to do what I really want to do full-time. But if somebody's at home starving and bills are not paid and you moving around and in and out of the different places and living with your mama and all that, maybe it ain't time yet. I mean, you really got to look at it. You know, I mean, I pastor. My congregation over the last year has grown. It's still not time yet. I work a full-time job. It's not time yet. Do I have goals and dreams? Yeah. So that's a tough one. That's just tough.
All right, Eric, what is your take on that?
I think that if a man has
Wait a second, Eric, Eric, can you hear me? You have like It sounds like there's an echo, so I don't know if you have it on somewhere else, but there's an echo. So why you?
Sure. This was my first time ever being on this type of thing.
Okay, make sure nothing else is open. Because it wasn't happening in the beginning. I don't know why it's like that now. Just make sure nothing is open.
Eric, he might be in space. Where you at, brother?
In the meantime, I'm going to give it over to I'm going to go ahead and give it over to Joey, and let's see if it works. Or I'm sorry, to Moses, and let's see if it works once he starts after he speaks. Go ahead, Moses, since you posed that question. What is your take?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm kind of in agreement with Dijon. A lot of people doing full-time ministry, but you ain't got a full ministry type audience. Why is you in full-time ministry, or why are you trying to pursue full-time ministry, and you got a home that you can't take care of, or you having issues at home as far as being able to pay rent, being able to put food in the house? You got kids. That don't make sense. So for me, the same way we gonna get behind the pulpit and preach that a man shouldn't live off a woman as a rapper, I think the same thing needs to be transitioned in the church. You don't need to be living off no woman, because if you're a pastor and your wife is going out there and she making all the money, but yet you still doing full-time ministry, low key, that's her church. So she the pastor. So we all need to say that's pastor and she's chief executive. Is just being changed. Y'all doing what Usher said. Y'all trading places. Low key, that's a homosexual trait to me. I feel like as a man, you're supposed to work. The Bible says that a man's supposed to work. If you work, you eat. A lot of us is fat, and we're not fat because we working. We fat because a woman is feeding us, and we become a child. And a lot of men today are being children. They're not being men, and they're so used to being they're great sons, but they don't know how to be husbands. So they don't know how to be a husband. They don't know how to really rule their house. So a lot of women have made or have married a child and not a man. Thus, they're taking care of him as such.
Okay. All right, Joey. You with us?
I'm trying.
You there?
All right, is that better?
There we go. Yes.
I had to do it from my phone. My computer tripping.
Oh, okay. Well, we got you.
All right.
So what is your take on the question?
I mean, like I was saying earlier, you know, to me, for a man that's a pastor, you feel like you're called to ministry. I'm one that I don't like questioning people who say that God told them to do something. I mean, if you're a pastor, you should be called of the Lord to do that thing. You shouldn't look at it necessarily as a business venture at first. But as far as being a pastor and not working, if the ministry can support you, great. If it can support your family and whatnot, fine. But if it's just you ministering and the only money that the ministry is bringing in is enough to keep the building up, the church itself going, but it's not bringing anything to the home, you know, I don't see how as a man or as a man of God you justify you sitting at church being a pastor full time, wife is supporting the household.
Okay. All right, Eric, you with us?
Yes, I'm back.
There we go. We got you now. Now, what's your take?
I think if a man is called to ministry, I believe that God will provide everything that he needs. You know, some people, you know, step out on faith to become ministers and pastors, and that's something that they've chosen on their own to do. You know, how can somebody minister or be a preacher or be called unless they're sent, unless he sent them? You know, in the scriptures, it clearly shows me and tells me about the disciples, the ones who followed him, and he made them fishers of men. So as they followed him and became disciples, God equipped them with everything that they needed, gave them everything that they could possibly, you know, need for the journey. So if your mindset is totally focused on God, and God has put you in that place, I believe he'll provide everything that you need, your household, your family, your wife, and everything. And I think we all, as people, have strayed away from the truth. You know, the truth leads us to and guides us to who we're supposed to be in life. Like, for example, women. You know, women are supposed to be virtuous, powerful women of God. You know, and a man is supposed to be a man walking upright before God. You know, doing righteous things and speaking good things. And we ain't on that path doing them things. The other things that we're supposed to receive in life, we don't get. Because he says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. So it's a certain way, that path that you got to take for all these things to be in place. And if we're not on that path and doing the right things, none of it fall in place. That's why society is so messed up now, because we lack following direction.
Well, you know what, and I'm gonna get this response from Moses based on his reaction right now. But this is the way I see it. If me as a woman, if my husband was to come to me and he said he was called to the ministry, or even if he said, you know, he felt like he's supposed to rap. Now, I believe that there's some communication that has to go on with that, because if he's working, the question would be, okay, how much money do we have saved? Because some of the comments that were made were, you know, well, you got to pay for this, you got to pay for that. Well, if he has the money saved up and he's ready to move forward, then why not? And why would it be certain tendencies, homosexuality tendencies, if he's at home taking care of home? What's wrong with the man cleaning and watching the kids while she's out working and he's working and maybe he has something that, I don't know, maybe some kind of self-employed entrepreneur, whatever, where he can go out and make money, but he doesn't have to necessarily work like a nine to five. Because I see people, a lot of times they think, well, my man is working a 9 to 5, anything less than a 9 to 5, if he's working on his own, he's really not working, that's just a hobby. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I believe that if God has truly called him to the ministry and we prayed about it and God said, you know what, he can stay home and do what he has to do because we have the finances and we build based on that, is that really a problem?
I mean, I think every situation is definitely different. You have to look at each situation, and I'll say, as you and I and Joey that I know were taught, every man got to deal with his wife according to knowledge. If your wife, if a husband and wife have an understanding on how they do a thing, then how they do it. But one thing that I think his name Eric brought up, which is a truism, the Bible already let us know there's no way around a man not working, because it is the curse that man has. There's no way around it. There's no way around the fact that men are going to have to work by the sweat of their brow. The Bible said all the days of his life. So you're going to have to do some type of work. I think when you deal with this question, what you're dealing with is a lot of times one sin that we don't really talk about in the church is covetousness. And a lot of times people covet something that they don't really have an idea of what people have. So they think, some sister think, look at brother so-and-so, he got his own business. They don't see the hard work. We see finished product in a lot of people and never saw the beginning, never saw what they did to get to the place where maybe they don't have to go to a quote-unquote 9 to 5 every day, but they run their business. They got to work. Or maybe that brother looks at that and goes, look at that sister, she support that brother. You don't know what they arguing about when they go home. You don't know what they're dealing with. And so you have to understand, every household, every situation is different. I look back, and I'll finish with this question, but I look back at every woman I dated when I was in church, and I realized I got the right wife, because I couldn't have put some of the women that I've dated, I know they couldn't go through what Sister Shelley go through with just me in ministry, or what I've done in playing ball or comedy or whatever. They just couldn't have done it, because their makeup isn't that. And so that's why he that finds a wife find a good thing, and you obtain a favor from the Lord. At the end of the day, every situation is going to be different. Carmen, you may be that sister that know how to pat that brother on the back and say, all right, baby, I'm going to give you this whole year, and let's get it, and we might know how to reevaluate in a year where the business is. Whereas another sister's like, I saw my daddy go to work every day. That's what I expect you to do. Well, y'all didn't have some kind of communication while y'all was dating, because you knew I was a rapper, or you knew I was an entrepreneur when we got together. Now you want me to go and work at FedEx. We're going to have some arguments, and a whole lot of them.
Okay. All right, Moses. You there?
Well, now the question was what again? Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what was the question again.
Well, my thing is, based on the answers you just heard, based on what I just said, what is your feeling on what Eric said? Eric was talking some things, and looks like you had some things that were on your mind. So I just wanted you to elaborate what you were thinking as he was speaking.
I feel like this. Hey, let's stop trying to make it seem like you can only be successful if you're in church. That's not the case. You can be successful outside of church. Thus, the world has had more success in the church because they're willing to grind and they're willing to hustle. We see people countlessly who are not Christians who gain a bunch of wealth and success as we deem it, as we see. But we'll throw around. I hear preachers say, "Well, if you praise, you'll never have to work another day in your life." That's stupidity. That's not faith. That's dumb. You, as men, we were called to work. We're called for this. We're built to work. And I think that sometimes in the church community, it's kind of delusional the way we view things. Now, mind you, I want everybody to know. I'm going to put this disclaimer out there. I am a Christian, so do not think I'm not a Christian. But I just think sometimes we don't think like it doesn't make sense. How can we say that it's subject to each person's situation? No, it's not. Like a man is supposed to work. The Bible says that. If we can't be strictly by the Bible for certain things. Um, if we're gonna say that you have to do this to be saved, or if you have to do that to obtain certain things, I think we have to say men have to work. And if your dream is to Joseph had to work. Joseph went to prison before he became the biggest guy in Egypt. He was working. He was in prison working. He was in their house working. Like, you have to work. And in order for your dream to come true, you gotta work. And I understand, there are hard times. I completely understand that. Hard times, I definitely understand that. But I think that we can't say a woman's job is to make the house a home. Read Proverbs. And if you read that, then I can have a valid conversation with people about a man not working, because I don't think that people are reading this with a real eye or genuinely reading that and being able to say that they believe that a man should be a stay-at-home dad. Nowhere in the Bible are you going to hear someone say that there's a stay-at-home dad. You're never going to hear it. And if you hear it, you're never going to hear it. It doesn't make sense. So for me, I hate to hear a woman say something like, "Oh, I have no problem with a stay-at-home dad," or "I have no problem with a man staying at home," because that's delusional. That's something that's been fed to you, and you think that that's okay. That breeds laziness. What is that saying to your kids? That's saying, okay, for sure, stay at home.
Moses, I
That
think
doesn't make sense. Femininity is so abroad with our young.
we kind of losing you, Moses. I don't know if you can hear me. I want to hand this over to Joey because we're kind of losing you. What is your insight, Joey?
I mean, to kind of take from something Moses was just saying, I feel like, faith without works is dead. And I do think a lot of times in church, we do put too much credence in faith, in and of itself, and we don't actually, really follow through on putting the work in. Especially, unfortunately, with a lot of men, it seems like women are pursuing education and, career, whereas a lot of times men, we were kind of sitting back and not really doing enough to sustain a family and support a family, and really sometimes even to support ourselves. But that said, I kind of piggybacking on what Dejan was saying, I feel like every situation is different. It is, in the Bible, men were cursed to work by the sweat of their brow all the days of their life. This is true. But, like I was saying earlier, going forward, today we don't live in a day and time where we're in this trades of goods and services in order, to support ourselves. The way the world works, you got to have cash, you got to have assets that can turn into cash, and it's just a difficult situation sometimes, especially when you don't have an education or you don't have skills that can translate into income. And I think each situation is different. I just have a difficulty in understanding the mindset of a man who doesn't really want to work and is okay with that. I had a situation a few years ago where I dated a young lady for about a year, so a little over a year, and I had just started school. My mom told me, she was like, I'll pay your rent for you, just go to school, I don't want you just taking any more regular jobs, blah, 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 blah. So that was my situation. I met this young lady, she didn't care about me not working, she had her education, she had a 6-figure job, made all this money, and I never felt comfortable because I didn't feel like I could contribute. She couldn't have cared less about the money I was making because she had plenty of it. But I didn't feel comfortable because as a man, the way I was raised, it's like you need to bring something into the home. You need to contribute. I didn't feel good with that. And so that was one of the issues where the relationship sort of broke down, because I was trying to figure out how can I contribute in some way, shape, or form financially, and she didn't care about that. And so, you know, I just have a problem. It's really more than anything, I think it speaks to the mindset of men in general. It's like, how are we being taught? And I think a lot of that kind of, you know, it points to the fact that there are so many single parent homes. And it's not just single mothers, but single fathers as well. I mean, as you know, I'm a single dad. But it's like, what are we teaching our young men that they don't want to go out and get educated, that they don't want to work, that they're comfortable being in a position where a woman is taking care of them? I can understand if the woman makes a ridiculous amount of money, you know, and if that's what you guys want to do, that's fine. I mean, I don't have a heaven or hell to put anybody in, and I don't even think it's that type of the situation. But the mindset, where is this coming from? Why do you as a man feel like it's okay, or you're comfortable sitting in a house all day taking care of kids and not out working and contributing financially to your home?
Well, that's going to lead me into my next question then. You know, we live in 2014 and everybody feels like roles are changed, things are different. They feel like, you know, that's what people did in the olden days. So we don't really have a place in the home. Like a wife, if she's working and the husband is working, then they're on equal grounds, meaning that they both can run the house and she doesn't have to submit. Submission is such a bad word to women these days because they think submission means that they're just supposed to bow down and bark like a dog just because their husband tells them to do so. So my question now is, what do you consider, or do you guys see what is a woman's place and what is a man's place in a relationship? So I'm going to start this off with Eric. And
real quick, because
okay, go ahead, Dejan. I know you have to go.
I gotta go teach Bible study. You got me fired up before I have to go.
Okay.
You brothers, I want to say, you brothers are answering these questions very well and continue to support my sister in what she's saying. Now, this last question is truly where the problem lies. The problem lies in the fact that God never changed the roles. He never changed what my role was as a man, regardless of the technology, regardless of, because we have cars and we don't have horses, because the way the world is today, nothing in this thing ever changed. The way God designed it is the way it is. The foundation of what God does, the Bible says it stands assured. The foundation of anything that God put in place, it's there. So when we deal with the foundation of a husband and a wife and a man being a man, that don't change. So the problem we have is when the feminist movement came in and women did start going to work because of the way the world changed, the economy changed, and how things changed, a lot of women felt that now I am equal because we didn't read the scripture. I have to be biblically based. I'm a pastor. I lead people. But the Bible says something very clear. It says, husbands, love your wives, and wives also. So it means that it's twofold. Now, the way we have to deal with this from the order that God sets, there's God, there's the man, and there's the wife. Period. That's how it goes. There's not God and the husband and the wife on the same page. It's God, the husband, and the wife. That's how it is. It doesn't change. And so, because my wife, one person, I'll say rest in peace to Dean Jackson, I never saw that woman try to outdo her husband. She was a preacher in the pulpit, an evangelist, a teacher, and then when she came out, she was, "How you doing, Dr. Jackson? How you doing, sweetheart? What do you need me to do?" She accepted it. And the key word in this, as I close and leave, is you gotta accept it. If you don't accept it, you're gonna always have problems. And what happens is sisters go get their degree and they make 80,000, 100,000, and he make 55, 60, but they feel they got more to say because they make more money. They don't accept the role. And when we accept the role, I'll say this to my brother Joey, when the point guard want to be the center, your team ain't gonna never win. When the quarterback want to be the running back and the wide receiver, he can't throw to himself. And that's the problem. Everybody, the biggest thing you got to get people to do is accept their role and then accept it to the best of their ability. The reason why the Chicago Bulls was a great team was Dennis Rodman said, I'm a power forward that rebound. I don't score no points. And what husband and wives got to do in their marriage is say, this is what I do, that's what you do. And this is how we going to make this thing become one. The minute we get outside of that, we going to have some problems. Bottom line. So the roles you got to accept it. That's it. I love y'all. I got to go to church. Pray for me.
All right. Love you too. I'll talk to you soon. All right. I'm going to hand this over to Eric. What do you see roles, the positions that a man and a woman play? Are things different because it's 2014, or are things different? Even if a woman is working, she's making, let's just say, even more money than what her husband is making. Does things change?
I agree with my brother that just left. When we don't follow instructions, it's hard to have good results. You know, so far as if you bake a cake, you know, like you were saying about the football team, you bake a cake, you don't put all the ingredients in it, it's not going to rise, and it's not going to be a cake. And so far as in the scriptures, when our Father said, he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing, you know, he's going along with them guidelines in the Bible. You know, finding a wife, finding a good thing. So we have to have the Bible as a whole. We can't just take bits and pieces of it and try to apply it to our life and leave the rest out. And that's why society is in so much turmoil now. You know, if man was to follow the instructions in the Bible, basic instructions before leaving Earth, and keep them in front of him daily, you know, and develop that relationship as he speaks about in John chapter 15 about being connected to the vine. You know, abide in me and I in you. For apart from me, you can do nothing. But if you abide in me, you can bear the fruit that you're supposed to. And so far as the wife submitting to the husband and the husband submitting to the wife has a certain role and the man has a certain role. If we commit to them roles and bring them together, he said when a man and a woman come together, they become one. So they agree on certain things, live a certain way, and they treat each other a certain way. So as long as we stay focused on the directions in the Bible and follow them to the best of our ability, see, we start to nurture back our relationship with our Creator. You know, if we don't have that relationship with our Creator, we lost. That's why the society is the way it is today. The woman doing this and the man doing that, we're not following directions. And I believe that if we follow the directions and stay focused on this path of life, we could be successful at raising our children the way we should raise them. You know, they say it takes a village to raise a child. I said it takes a man of God and the power of God to raise them.
All right.
If you got the power of God in you and the word of God in you, you can speak the proper things to your children to bring them up in the way that they should be raised. And the same thing with your spouse or with your husband. You know, being the wife being submissive to the husband, listening to him because he is the leader of the household. You know, well, he's supposed to be the leader of the household. He ain't following God. He ain't leading nobody. You know, both blind men, both of them will fall into the ditch. You know, but if a man grasps that concept of standing our Father's word and being guided by His word, he can guide his family in all truth and righteousness. They'll be stable as one.
All right. I'm gonna ask Joey a question. Okay. Similar question. So you have a husband and a wife. They're both working, and they have children. So they're kind of sharing the duties. Now, what is the role? What do you see the role as a wife? If she's out working just like he's working, and she's working just as hard as she's working, whose responsibility do you see it as to be the one to cook, to clean, take care of the kids? How does that work?
I mean, if you're a woman, you belong in the kitchen, right? Let me stop first. Somebody come over here and shoot me.
Be real with it. Be real with it.
Seriously, honestly, in my honest opinion, I feel like in that situation, because that's really the situation more often than not these days. You know, personally, I'm not the kind of dude I'm like, if my wife is out working and we're both working, we need to share the duties. I mean, that's that's just being wise and kind. I mean, you guys both dirtying the place up. You both eating. I mean, let's share the dude. I mean, that's my personal opinion. In that case, it's like, look, traditional roles have been, it's just not the same as it used to be because of the way the financial system is in the world. So with that, you have to sort of change a little bit some of the things that you do, the way you handle things. If you're a man and you're working, but you're not supporting the house solely on your own income, then and your wife is out working, then you need to split some of those responsibilities. I think sometimes it can be a little too much to ask to sit there and say, okay, I'm going to go work this 9 to 5, you go work this 9 to 5. When I come home, I'm going to be the king of this castle, and you go cook that food, and then you go get them kids together. I'm going to chill and watch this big screen TV and relax. If I was a woman, I wouldn't want to be married to a man like that, and I'm sure any woman that is would be miserable. So, I mean, you want a happy home. Why would you put your wife in a situation like that where it's like, okay, I'm commanding that you to sit there and you do all these menial tasks, you clean and you cook and you this and you. Basically, I'm a servant at work, and then I come and got to be a servant at home too. It's like if you're gonna ask your wife to do that, then you should be providing all the financial needs of the house. Now, if I'm going out working, she's sitting at home, and I'm making all the money, the least she can do is cook and clean and take care of the kids, as far as I'm concerned. But if you guys are both working, then those responsibilities should be shared. But then again, everyone's situation is different. However you work that out, you work that out.
So what if she comes home and she says, you come home, you clean up, she had a long day at work, and she's like, you ready to come home, make love to her, and she's just like, you know what, just not tonight. And it continues to happen. It's just days after days, and you're just like getting frustrated. You're still helping, you doing all you can. What do you do?
I'm single, and any woman that I've dated, I pretty much lay down certain expectations during the dating phase, so she knows exactly who I am and what she's dealing with. And one of the two, it's two things. Like, number one, I let her know, like, I don't care how much money you make, I will always be the head of my household. My thing is, like, I believe in traditional roles in the sense that, like Dejan was saying, it's God, then the man, and then the woman. Now, to say that, I would not marry a woman that I don't respect. And I feel like as a husband and a wife, you work together in the home. You make decisions together. You should utilize one another's strong points. If I'm good with finances, then why don't I handle the money? Or if she's better with money than you are, why don't you let her do it? Or if yeah.
Your voice went out. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go. The voice had went out.
All right. Okay. So what I'm saying is, like, again? Oh, man. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. I'm going to hold off on you. We'll see if we can get that fixed. I'm going to go ahead and go to Moses for right now. Moses, my question for you, you have a wife. She's at home. What do you expect from her as a wife to do if you're out working and doing what a man is supposed to do, is out there working and bringing home the bacon? What are your expectations from a wife? What is her role and her position as a wife?
First, I want to address the fact that you said he's out working, and that's what he's supposed to do. We all know that a man is supposed to work. I just wanted to bring that out. I like Big Joe, and I like what he's bringing out. At the end of the day, to each situation. Now, if I'm at home and you're at work, of course, I believe that you have the house clean. But I feel there's something wrong with the mentality of a man to just sit at home. If my wife's at home and I'm out working, of course I'm gonna want certain things done. I'm gonna want the house clean. I'm gonna want to come home to something to eat. It's something wrong for a man to be out working all day and for a woman to be at home all day and that house is dirty. I think it is crazy for any woman to have a dirty house. That is unacceptable. You're a woman. Why would you have a dirty house? That says a lot about you and your hygiene and other things to me. If you're that dirty, like, I don't believe a woman should have a dirty house. I don't believe that if she's married that house should be dirty. And if she's staying at home, the house really shouldn't be dirty. If I'm out working, most people know I have no problem working. Most people know that I work more than the average person. And I do that because that's just me. I'm not saying everybody should work like me, but what I am saying is this. There is no reason why if I'm out, I'm working, that when I come home, I don't have something on the table to eat. There's no reason. I don't care if we have 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids, 5. There's no reason why I should come home and the house is dirty if I've been out working. If I'm out working, you need to play that role.
Well, let me ask you, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here because I hear a lot of people, and I know from experience from being married, some things that I dealt with. But as I look back, I can see what you're saying. But and just FYI, if anybody's watching, if you have any questions, you can ask. So this is my question. Okay, so you have 2 little kids at home, and you clean up. I'm going to give a perfect example. When my ex-husband used to leave, I would make sure everything was tidied up. After I cook him breakfast, did everything I need to do to make sure that he was off to work. Then what I did was I went in, I cleaned up, got everything done, and the kids get up, they get messy, they get into things. I'm cooking lunch, doing this, doing that. So I know he gets home about 6. So maybe about 5 o'clock, 5:30, I'm tidying up, I'm vacuuming, I'm doing things, and he would get upset because he felt like, well, you didn't clean up until you knew I was coming home, when that wasn't the case. I would clean up beforehand. It's just, you know, you got kids running around, you have babies running around. I had a baby and a 3-year-old, and then from a 1-year-old to a 4. So I have these small kids running around, but yet and still he wasn't satisfied because he felt like all I did was sit at home and did nothing. Dinner can be cooked, the house would be clean, but he felt like I did it when I got home. Do you feel that that's fair, that somebody can say that or do that, even though it doesn't matter what time I clean up? Does that really matter, long as things are done before you get home? Or what if the kids are just running around and tired?
I don't know about your particular situation. What I'm saying is if I come home and the same pants that was on the floor when I left us on the floor, no, you didn't clean up good enough. And if that's happening, there's an issue. Or if there's dishes that have been there, I know, was there Pastor Dijon's back? So if there's things that are not being touched that I know were there when I left, it doesn't make sense. No, you're not cleaning. And if you lie and tell me you're cleaning, yes, that will make me mad. Like, wow, okay, all right. For me, you're just gonna get ignored. I just wouldn't pay attention. But I don't get it. I feel like, look, man, I know that you went on the topic of roles and how they're becoming distorted. I feel that a lot of us are really, that we don't know our role. And I think that for the man, I think the reason why we don't know our role is because the role hasn't really been shown to us. Many of us have learned how to be a man through watching TV, not through a man being in the home. Many of us have learned how to be what we quote-unquote deem as a man through somebody who probably didn't have a good experience, a thug, a gangster, or something like that. So thus, we have all these men who really don't know how to think and act like grown men. And we have a lot of women who are learning how to be very vindictive because a lot of the women who have been hurt are teaching them how to, oh, well, you play this game to get them to do this, or you do this. It's just too many games. I think that the roles have been distorted. I think it was strategic by the devil, the enemy, and I think that the home base has taken a very homosexual view. I think that we are really looking at a polluted vision of the family. Men have taken a very feminine role in marriage. I'm sorry, if I go to work, I want to come home, I would love for my house to be clean. But if I'm at home, of course I need to accommodate certain things. But for the most part, men need to work. Women, of course, like Big Joe was saying. Big Joe said the economy now, the money, it does take 2 incomes. It does take 2 incomes. So of course you need to be able to balance that out. But traditionally, if I'm being the man and I'm going out working and you're at home, yes, the house needs to be clean. Like,
well, you know what? Okay, I'm going to pose this question to who wants to answer. You just said something about what's happening today in the economy. I'm personally, if I can stay home and be a stay-at-home mom, a wife, I would do that all day long. If I was in that position, God knows I would do that all day long. So we talk about a man having a role and what the man is supposed to do. He's supposed to go out at work. The wife is supposed to be at home cleaning. At what point does a man take it to say, you know what, I just might have to work 2 jobs because my wife should be at home cleaning, taking care of the kids, being my wife, and making sure home is taken care of as I go out and work. Now, if your wife says she wants to quit her job today, what do you do? Does anybody want to answer that question? Looks like we just lost Joe. Eric or Moses?
I think a man.
Go ahead.
If says, go ahead, Stacey. He said if a woman wants to quit her job, and what was you saying again, Colin?
I was saying that if a woman decides that she does not want to work anymore and that she just wants to be at home and she just wants to be a wife, what do you do at that point? She just says, well, not that she just wants to be a wife, I'm sorry. She wants to be a stay-at-home mom to take care of home while a man goes and takes care of what he's supposed to take care of, which is working and bringing home the bacon. Then what would you say to that, even if things aren't going that well financially?
With her being your spouse, you know, you have to have some type of line of communication and understanding to understand the situation of what she's going through or the reason why she doesn't want to work anymore and the reason why she wanted to stay at home and be a stay-at-home mom. But with all that being said, yes, the man will have to step up, you know, and maybe get an extra job or put in a little bit more overtime to make sure the home is stable, you know, and things of that nature. But
okay.
If the relationship lacks a line of communication and understanding, it's going to be turmoil through it all, you know, because he's not going to like her doing certain things at home while he's at work. And if, like he said, if the pot was still on the floor when he got back home, she didn't clean up good enough. But and if his kids involved in the situation, I believe that we should be teaching our kids how to help clean up, how to wash dishes, how to help maintain the household. I mean, I'm the youngest of 3 boys. My mom had 3 boys. You know, I didn't have no sisters to help mama cook or help mama wash dishes or help clean up the bathroom. We had chores every day. You know, I learned how to cook. I learned how to clean. I learned how to wash my own clothes. I learned how to take care of myself. You know, my mama and my grandmama taught me that. You know, not to say that I don't need a woman, but a woman has a specific role in a man's life. You know, but if she came home from work and she was tired or whatever and I was there before her, yeah, of course I'd cook dinner. Well, of course I'd make sure things were straight before she got there so she could take her bath. Maybe I'd run her bubble bath or something. You know, massage her back, you know, make her feel at home. Because once you walk across that threshold of your household, you're supposed to feel a certain way. It's either that man is going to make you feel that way or that woman's going to make you feel that way. But like you said, once again, if that woman wants to stay at home, if my wife said, Eric, baby, I'm tired of working, I just want to stay at home and make sure the family's this and that, I said, okay, well, we need to start pursuing that role in that direction. You know, if you're going to stay at home and do this and that, certain things you need to display, you know, once the kids are in the house or once I'm at home. You know, because if we don't guide our children or our lives in a certain direction, you know, we're lost. And in the midst of all that is turmoil and chaos and things of that nature.
Okay.
You know?
All right, Joey, what is your, and we're going to wrap it up shortly, what is your take on that if a woman says, you know what, I just want to stay at home. I understand that things aren't going right, but I want to be at home. I want to be a wife. I believe that's what God has called me to be. I am your wife, and I want to stay at home and take on those duties. What do you do at that point? Even if finances aren't where they're supposed to be.
That's a tough one. I mean, that's a really tough one for me personally. I mean, I like being at home in the evenings with my family. I mean, that's probably the best part about my job is that I have a stable schedule. I'm able to come home, spend time with my daughter, go to her practices, go to games on the weekends. I mean, ideally, I would, you know, you want to be in a situation where you can allow the wife to stay home if she wants and take care of the kids. I mean, again, that's an ideal situation, and I know a lot of people who are in that situation. The husband makes enough money, and he can support that type of home. But if you can't, you know, if he doesn't have the finances, you know, it's like that should be something that they work towards. I don't think it's something that they should do immediately. It's more or less something that they should work towards. I mean, if my wife wanted to stay home, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. But again, these are also circumstances that should be discussed prior to going into marriage. You know, it's like if you go into the marriage, you should already know where each other's head is. You know, you shouldn't be 2-3 years down the line trying to figure out, okay, well, I want to stay home. You should have known that before y'all got married. And I think that's one of the problems with people dating nowadays. It's like we kind of dumb down dating to the point where it's like it doesn't serve its true purpose. The point in dating is to find someone to marry. And you got too many quote-unquote friends just hanging out, and you're not talking about anything serious, and so you really don't get to know each other as well as you think you do. And then when you start catching feelings, and then you want to get into something more serious, but you really don't know what's important. That's something that should not have been bounced on a man a year or two down the line, or we start having kids, or she gets pregnant. It's like, oh, well, I want to be a stay-at-home mom. You should have known that as a man, or the wife should have told her prior to getting married. And I think that's why, like, personally, I let my feelings and my stance be known ahead of time. I'm gonna tell her when I date a woman, when I talk to a woman, she's gonna know exactly who I am. I don't believe in sending my representative, as some folks like to say. What you see is what you get. I'm me. This is who I am. It ain't gonna be another dude when you get married. One thing I've always been, as far as my personality and my character, is consistent, and I'm not afraid to show you who I am. And that said, if you want to marry somebody, you got to put the representative in the closet and show them who you really are. And like I said, those are things that should be known ahead of time. That's really not something that you want to just bounce on a man. But then again, that said, to answer your question, if the finances aren't there, then it's like, baby, I love you, but you have to keep working until we get there. Let's work together to get me to that point. And then when I get there, then you can go ahead and stay at home. But right now, how are we gonna do that? Unless you're gonna make a whole lot of cutbacks. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we gonna be eating rice and beans at night. No more trips. Huh? So I mean, if she's willing to make some really, really, really drastic cutbacks, then okay, fine, maybe we can do it. And that might even be the wise thing to do. Say, okay, we're gonna make all these cutbacks, and let's see how much she really wants to be a stay-at-home mom.
All right. Well, I'm gonna hand this over to Mr. Moses. I want you to answer this. This will be the last question. Did you hear what the question was?
What was the question again?
The question was, if your wife decided she wanted to stay at home and be a stay-at-home mom and just take care of home, and finances aren't the greatest, then what do you do at that point?
That means I'll step out. That means I'll step up as a man. That means at that point, she's saying she wants to be a stay-at-home mother. That means at some point, I have to say, okay, well, for sure, what am I doing? I got to make that happen. I believe that we were built for that. So I mean, I'm gonna make it happen. For me, I feel like the world's at your fingertips. Whatever you want to do, if you're willing to work for it, you can do it. And most men ain't willing to work enough to do it. And I feel like I'm willing to work to do it. So if my wife's saying she wants to stay at home, and that's all she wants to do, then that means I have to figure out a way to make that happen. Now, will it happen simultaneously? No. But what I'm saying is if that's her desire, there will be steps made to make sure she can do that. Just because I believe that's what we do. As men, if I truly love you, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna try to give you good. I'm gonna try to make sure everything that you want to happen is gonna happen. Now, am I saying that you're just gonna be the day you say that you can stay at home? No. The finances don't permit at that time to do it. That means I have to somehow, some way make sure that finances in the future make that happen. But she has to know that it does take time to get to that. I don't know who she's married to, or I mean, but I can only speak for my situation. Me personally, if I'm in a marriage with a woman and she's saying she wants to stay at home, that means I have to make adjustments, and that means that I have to make it happen.
All right, fellas. Well, I have to say thank you so much for being on. And for those that are watching, the topic of this is about relationships, and you have an insight on how men feel as far as roles in a relationship, and the support of a woman and things that they will and will not do. And I will say, you guys have made me look at things a little different. When we were talking in the beginning about the role, if a pastor or you want to become a rapper, and would I just support? Honestly, I probably still would, but have to look at things just a little different, because my mindset is, as a woman, I just feel like I just gotta support him as long as it makes sense. See, I'm upfront. If you can't rap, I'm gonna be like, babe, you know what? That's just not your calling, and I'm not gonna support that. You can go after it if you want to, but there's no, I'm not gonna support something that I don't think is gonna get off the ground. Meaning, I'm not gonna step back or step up to the plate if you just ain't the rapper. And if you're called by God, then God will show us that He will provide what we need in order for you to move forward. But to me, it's all in communication, and a man should work. And now I understand some things that I didn't understand about a man, honestly, before I talked to you guys, but it just gave me a clear understanding, because I've been around guys that are not as strong as you guys are when it comes to being that man, taking care of the household, making sure that wifey is taken care of, making sure that children are taken care of, because I know that you guys take care of your families. So, it's good to hear from some men that are men. When men that are like, well, she can work, I'm just going to play, I'll do whatever I want to. There's a difference. There's like a real big difference, but it definitely I'm going to do another show I want to talk about dating, about the communications in dating and what you should discuss, because there's so much that's not discussed. And I really want to talk about Christian dating, because they don't know how to date. We're not taught in the churches how to date. We're just taught that we're supposed to, a man is supposed to find us, we get married, and that's it. And we wonder why in the churches the divorce rate is so high, because we are not taught properly. So that's another topic I'm going to be talking about. But before I go, I'm going to go down the line. If you guys want to leave something with the audience, if not, let me know. I'll start with you, Joey. If you want to leave something, you can.
I just want to say, I don't think there's any specific way to go about things. I mean, we all have our thoughts, we all have our opinions, but, there's a certain way that God wants things done, and I think if you stick with that, you're good. I mean, for non-Christians, that's another story. But I think if you really, for me, like when I talk to people who aren't believers, I try to communicate the things that the scriptures say in a way that they can understand, and without making it sound religious, because people don't want to hear that. Because really, a lot of the things in the Bible aren't just good religious things; they're just good things in general in life. The principles that are taught they work for everybody, whether you believe in them or not. And so, I think when you stick to that, you do well. You serve yourself and your family well by sticking to the framework that God has set up. That said, with a lot of these little things, they're not necessarily right and wrong or heaven and hell. A lot of it is just like, you work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, and I think it's the same thing. We may not always agree, but if that's what works for you, then so be it. As long as you're happy, as long as everybody in the home is happy, the kids are being raised properly, things are going smoothly, that's what works for you, then so be it.
All right. And Joey, I'm gonna have to get you on for man law. We definitely gotta talk about that. We're gonna set a date. We will.
And Moses back too.
All right, I will. We will set a date before the month is out. I definitely want to do that. All right, thank you, Eric. I'm gonna give it over to you. You have something to leave the audience with?
I would just like to say to the men and the women, as long as we follow directions, everything's going to work out all right. It's when we don't follow them directions, it's when we have problems. We have this in the home, that in the home. So I would just like to encourage everybody to just stay focused and try to get as close to God as you can on a daily basis. Whether it's through the things that you hear or the things that you see, and most definitely the things that you speak will make a difference in your life. But just encourage y'all to stay focused.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Moses.
Okay, I've been waiting to say this. Look, I want to say this to every woman out there: stop settling. Many of you guys are settling for something you don't have to settle for. Many of you guys are settling for people who are only using you as a scapegoat. Many women is out here settling just because they don't want to be alone, so they'll rather take care of a man. Stop settling. You're better than that. You're way better than that. Men, stop settling for women who are going to allow you to be complacent. Because when you do that, you're not operating at your full potential. You're not being great. Many of you guys are settling at being mediocre, and it's time out for that. Our generation is one of the richest generations to be poor. I say that as a contradiction because I think that many of us were so rich in thought, we're so rich in thinking, but our actions don't equal what we really want to do. So we'll talk rich all day. We'll talk, oh, I want to be the best or I want to be that, but we don't do it. Women, you guys say, oh, I don't want no bugaboo, or I don't want some scrub, or I don't want some dude who I'm trying to take care of, but you settle for the thug who's trying to be the top gangster in the next game. That's stupid. So be smarter and respect yourself and take more respect for yourself. You're better than a diamond. You're better than a jewel. Be who you God created you to be, and stop settling for men who ain't worth nothing. Because A, if you have children, it's not a good example for your children. So you gotta if I had anything left to say, respect yourself and expect better and do better and work at it. And Kama, I think that you should have this show where we not stopped by the videos of each computer, because I like Joey, I like his responses, and I like the pastor. I think that there would be great dialogue so that people could see it and hear it. I think that it would be very great dialogue to have three strong men on a talk show with three other strong women who could probably bring out the best in this type of topic.
All right, we definitely will be talking for sure, because I have some things to talk to you about. Right now I'm on my hiatus for pursuing your passion, but actually today I wrote down a few topics and some things that I want to do, because I would love to be able to do some face-to-face talking, even with a studio audience. I'm really looking into doing some things, so we'll definitely talk about that, Moses. And for those that are watching and those that did watch and those that are going to watch later, thank you so much for tuning in to Real Talk with Kama. We were talking about relationships, and we need to understand who we are, understand our roles, and understand who we are just as us, by ourselves. I had to get to know me before I can even get into a real relationship with someone, because I have my flaws. I'm very old-fashioned when it comes to my thinking as far as a role of a man and a role of a woman. I feel like I do have a place. Many women don't feel like they have a place, but I feel like I do. I will submit. That's just who I am, and that's who God has made us to be. But again, thank you so much, you guys, for being on. Thank you for those, again, that are watching. I will get you guys for sure. And we'll do this again. Continue to follow me on all my social media. I'm under Kama Speaks on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, and Google+, LinkedIn. I'm everywhere under Kama Speaks. If you have any topic ideas or you want to be a part of the show, go to kamaspeaks.com, fill out the Contact Us form, and I will get back to you. Thank you so much for watching Real Talk with Kama.